First, we want to start off by saying that we are a music school. We do train in all of the various instruments except for the string instruments. That is to say, the viola, the violin, the cello, and instruments of that type we don't teach. But all the band instruments having to do with saxophone, trumpets, drums, even the piano, we teach that at our facility. Now, we're going to be with you for about 25 minutes. I want you to stick around because, as you know, we get into some social and political things, and with the way things are going nowadays, we just cannot afford not to. We're at that point where it would be a derelict of duty not to say something about all of the horrific things that have been going on in this country over the last week. Now, on last time around, you know, we spoke about what was going on with Kim Jong-un and our president, Donald Trump. All of the saber rattling that was going on between these two, which is very dangerous because both of these people have nuclear weapons in their control. So I asked everybody to just pray because there's not too much more you can do. Just pray that this country will somehow find some harmony and whatnot. And we're going to talk about that some more. But first, I want you to take a look at some of the things that we're doing over at the school. You can see right there, you have some material in front of you there, and that information on there tells you exactly what we're all about. You see the piano, you see the guitar, you see the saxophone. You don't see a trumpet, a baritone horn, you see drums, you know. And we have just some absolutely excellent students. We have 2 recitals a year. We just had one in last July and a few weeks ago. And we have another one coming up in December. All of our students get a chance to perform in that. And this encourages them. It gives them something to shoot for when they know that they're going to be in some sort of public performance. In other words, it gives them a reason to practice, you know, because what you learn in the lessons, you have to go take it and practice it. Now, I want you to make certain that you are familiar with our phone number. That phone number is 773-891-1875. If you want to give us a call, please do so. We'll be more than happy to give you all the information you need. And if you call and there's nobody there, just leave your phone number and your name and we will get right back to you as soon as possible. Usually that's within a day or so. So, and also you have the opportunity to call this station, which is 312-738-1060. I have Mr. Theory Lewis, who is my production assistant. He's waiting for your call. And if you would like to participate in these discussions that we're going to be having in just a moment, you can do that. You can come on the air and voice your opinion. After all, we're all Americans, and we all have something to gain or to lose in this country, especially when things don't go very well, are not going very well. So right now, we're going to get right into those discussions, but I want you to be sure to give us a call. And once again, you can take this down. You can write this down. 773-891-1875. I just heard from a lady who wrote our number down 2 years ago, and she needed a band. We do have. You can hire a band through us. We can take care of your wedding. We can take care of your special event, birthdays. Whatever you might be wanting music for, we can provide it for you, and generally at a rate that's probably the best in Chicago. And so I had a lady call us the other day, and she wanted us to come out and play a memorial for her mother who had passed away several weeks ago. And she told me she was just absolutely just so thrilled and delighted with the way things came out. And we played both gospel and R&B music for her for that occasion. We play jazz and blues, and we play it all, but primarily we are a school that's oriented toward jazz. But we do play all the rest of these musics. Okay, now I want to talk to you about some things here that have been on your mind. You don't even need to tell me that. But before I do that, I want you to become familiar with something that we're doing on next, not this Sunday, but the Sunday after this one here. This is a fundraiser that we're doing. It's the first one we've done in the almost going on 5 years that we've been in established. And so we are having this fundraiser, and we would like for you to come out to it. Okay, now there's going to be a lot of beautiful things going on. It's going to be music by Mr. George Newtall, who is also the pianist for the Gibson Steakhouse. And he's going to be playing jazz, and then there's going to be some things. We're going to have refreshments and some other things of that type. So I want you to come out and meet us there. And we are raising funds in order to keep our doors open. You know, we have our programs, our music instructions are the most reasonable in the whole of Chicago and suburb. And then, of course, we have free programs there. We have our free drumming on every Saturday, free hand drumming. And then we have free math and tutoring, which go on Saturday also. So we look forward to seeing you at our fundraiser, and you can help us to keep these programs going for our communities so we can build up our communities and also make way for a brighter future for our children and grandchildren. So that's what this is all about, okay? And by the way, we are all unpaid staff, so trust me when I tell you, everything that you would donate toward a fundraiser would go directly toward paying the bills to keep the doors open. Alrighty, now, having said that, I want to share something with you that I'm appalled by, and I'm pretty sure that most of you are appalled by this also, because this just shouldn't happen in America, things of this nature. I mean, I guess I didn't expect to read or hear very much more about Adolf Hitler in Germany for some odd reason, but this is a different country. This is a country that is sort of, with all the immigrants and whatnot coming to this country. Of course, we migrated to this country, but of course, not by choice, you see. So that makes our situation very distinct, very distinct. I almost said distinguished. I don't think I want to use this distinguished in that sense. But it makes us very distinct. And I mean, we're here because of the fact that we were stole off from our mother country, no doubt with assistance from our own people. But for the most part, we were stolen off and dragged to these shores and forced to work for Caucasians. We were brought here to do that. And of course, we finally, through our prayers and our efforts and whatnot, were able to get out of the bondage, out of the chains. And now you can see where we've come from in just about 150 years. I mean, I don't think anybody could come to this country and say that these people had been in slavery just 100 years ago, 150 years ago. I don't believe anybody could do that if they didn't know the history and just say that. You know, they might say that we are people who are still working hard for our respect in this country, but they would see so many examples of success until there's no way they could say that we, in these 150 years, and also taking into consideration the kind of slavery that we went through. From what I understand, and I've heard historians say this, that there's no comparing it with any other thing in recorded history. Now, what I want to do here now is to talk about something that I believe needs to be talked about. And that is to say, I want to talk about what went on down at Charlottesville, Virginia on last week. And as you all may recall, Heather Heyer, that's the young lady who was killed. And what we want to do is send out our deepest condolences to the family of this young martyrdom who fought and died for her humanistic beliefs. Now, she will be remembered and missed by all decent Americans. And I underline the word decent Americans. Now, what I'd like for you to do, I'm going to ask all of you who are looking now, we're going to talk about this for a little bit, the rest of the show. But I want you to take 10 seconds in silence, whatever you believe in. If you think you can get a prayer through or some sort of silent wish on her behalf, we're going to take 10 seconds right now. Here we go, right now. Okay, all right. Now, that is a way in which we can begin to appreciate this young lady who gave her whole life for what she believed in. And I happened to see her mother on television this morning. I got a chance to see some of the funeral service. And her mother said that they were trying to shut her up, in effect. And actually what they did is they magnitude her, you see. And so that is a fact, because I don't think we're going to forget her for a long time to come, and we may never forget her, because she's become the face of this struggle between good and evil. And some of you know that good always wins over evil. Good always wins over evil. Take a look at history and you will see that good always comes out as a winner over evil. Now, let's talk about Trump and his defending of white supremacists, KKK members, and domestic terrorists. That's what they were, domestic terrorists. This young man drove, 20 years old. Now, how can you be filled with that type of hatred in 20 years? It's very difficult to do. I remember when I was 20 years old, I was in the Navy at the time, and there was a lot of things I didn't like. But man, I had nothing like even close to that type of hatred in me. So what I'm saying here is that, first of all, he had problems. He must have some serious problems. And what it seems to me is, though, is that most of these people, these so-called white nationalists and KKK people, these people seem to be losers. They seem to be misfits and losers. And I don't care if a few of them do have good jobs or decent jobs. Most people who are involved with that, no matter where they are in life, they are frustrated because they feel like they should be further up the road. You know, if you're making X amount of money, I'm not happy with that X amount of money, they might say. I want to make Y amount of money. And I'm frustrated, so I'm going to take out my frustration by joining some hate organization, and I'm going to protest against Jews. I'm going to protest against blacks, and I'm going to protest against Hispanics and gays, you know. In other words, I'm looking for something to hate. Whatever, I just want something to hate. And you know what I think about sometimes? I wonder if, which of course this is not possible, but I wonder if all of the Jews, the people of African descent, all of the gays, all of these people that these people don't hate. I don't think they care that much about Catholics either, so I better get you all in there too. Now, if you could wave a wand or something of that type, and all these people would disappear, I would bet you that that group of individuals, those Ku Klux Klan and the white supremacists, I'd bet you that every one of them would find something else to hate. And it could be even a family member, somebody in their own family. These people, they don't care who they hate. You know, they just need something to hate. And that's my conclusion. Now, what's motivating Donald Trump to support and assist this type of stuff? Because the statement he made was very watered down and sugar-coated. And I don't know how you could water down something and sugarcoat something when a young woman has been murdered. And from what I understand, about 20 people injured, and several of them, as we speak here today, are in critical condition. How could you sugarcoat that as President of the United States of America? And I don't think for one moment that Mr. Trump does not understand the gravity of what took place there in Virginia. But he seems to be a man who would say anything and just about do anything in order for him to stay on top. You got to keep in mind that this man has a huge ego. And when he opens his mouth, you can hear that ego come out of his mouth. He needs a lot of prayer, folks. We need to pray for this man before he leads us into World War III. Okay, whatever religion you're in, if you're doing good toward people, it's a good chance you can get a prayer through. If you're in a religion and you're keeping up a lot of mess, that prayer won't get through from you. You know, that's just my opinion. I don't think people who keep up a lot of mess, I don't care how long they've been in a religion, can even get a prayer through. But if you're in whatever religion you're in, I don't care what religion you're in, pray for this man, because we're in some very perilous times right now. And the only way that we're going to get out, because this man is a prodigious example of a lack of leadership. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we wake up every morning, most of us over the last few days, trying to determine what has this man said or done, you know, in these last hours between the time that we went to bed and woke up. And usually it's something that we can say, okay, because what he did is he made a watered down statement about what happened in Charlottesville, came back and made a stronger statement, and then came right back the next day and made another weak statement, you see. So you never know how this man is going to go. Now, what's motivating him? I would say that it's egotism, or egoism is the word I want to get. Egoism. That's when a person is full of themselves, you know. And also, when you have that type of egoism in you, you're not willing to say that you're wrong about anything. The reason he keeps coming back and recanting something that he's corrected himself on is because he never wants to be wrong about anything. And most of us have seen people like that. I mean, they will argue until they turn blue or whatever color in the face. And they know that they are not on solid ground. But they do that because their ego will not allow them to say, listen, I'm wrong about this one. Let me correct myself. Now, is this man a racist? Well, if you can sympathize with someone and say that you're not a racist, or you can be a sympathizer. For example, the people who sympathize with Hitler in his murdering of 6 million Jews. There are many people, clergy and a whole bunch of others, you know, professors of universities and whatnot, who knew this was going on. They were silent about it. Now, they would never really do it themselves. They'd never shove 150 people off into a gas tank tank filled with natural gas, and hear women and children screaming as they're pushed in. They would never do that. But they sympathize with it. You see what I'm saying? They knew it was going on, and millions of the Germans knew that. Now, Trump is a sympathizer of white nationalism, of the Ku Klux Klan. Okay? He's a sympathizer of these ideas and ways. So that's a whole other argument for another day to say whether or not sympathizers themselves or you know, these type of cold-blooded, hateful people. And some people might say, yes, they are. I have no problem with that. But it's a debate that we don't have time to go through right here. We do know that he sympathizes with this type of stuff. Now, what's his real DNA is what I'm asking, you know. In other words, I'm saying, is this man really a racist, or is he just a sympathizer, or are they both one and the same? Can you separate them out? Maybe not. Now, lastly, is he damaging this country? I'd say yes. People are looking at this country in a different way. I think Kim Jong-un of Korea is probably rolling on the floor laughing at this man, because he knows that all of these things are weakening this man, you know. And as soon as this man gets done, he himself is probably going to try to get back going with him so he can get him to make some more statements or do some more silly things. Now, what about the Russians? The Russians, they believe, and this thing is under investigation, and some people may end up going to jail, but the Russians, it is believed, egged this man, helped him to become President of the United States of America. If that's the case, and many people believe that, why did they do that? Did they somehow have a profile on this man that nobody else had, and they knew that he was going to be this bozo, this out-of-control jackass once he got into the White House? Maybe they did. Why would the Russians want to help Donald Trump become President of the United States? They knew he would be the least effective leader, perhaps, of everybody who was running. So there's something else. This is going to come out, folks, at some point or another. But in between time, I want you to really pray for this country, which we love. We should love it because we have to, especially we black people, because we have to build it on our backs with our sweat and blood and never got one nickel for it. And of course, reparations, that's why I believe, and I'm going to say this, that reparations is very important, you know, for us to, it's important for this country to compensate us because of the fact that this is the inheritance that our forefathers have left for us. They didn't get paid for the way in which they were treated and what they went through. So it's only right that it would go to their descendants, you see. And so we are the descendants of the people, and we should exactly of those wonderful people whom I love so very much because of what they did in order to get us to where we are today. Now, again, I just want to say to you, pray hard and mighty because we need it right now. We really need some moral fabric brought back to this country. Because right now we have a somewhat of a madman in the White House who seems to be upset at everybody. His own party. I mean, who do you like? I mean, don't you like somebody? I mean, come on now. We can't go around hating everybody, you know, and expect to do a job in the White House, you see. So anyway, I want to thank all of you all for tuning in on today. And hopefully that this conversation has helped somebody to understand this a little bit better. But we don't need the bitterness, you know. Don't get all upset and whatnot about it, you know, because lastly, I just want to leave you with one thing, that following all great evil is always great good. And if you look at history, Great good always follows great evil. I don't care. You know, you can look at the Germans and what happened over there. Look at that country today. Look at the Japanese and with those atom bombs dropped. And look at that country on today, you know. Look at our people in this country 150 years ago and look at us today. So great good always follows great evil. And only though if that great evil is challenged and put to rest. And therefore, it's time for us to continue to work in a logical and intelligent way in order to make certain that this country is not brought to its knees or brought any further down toward its knees by this one man who's in the White House. And I guarantee you that this country is going to rise up and be even better once we put this to rest. So I want to thank you very much for your participation with us on today, and we'll see you on next week right here at the same time and the same station.